welcome to another episode of Women Investing in Women. My co-host Robin and I are absolutely delighted to week after week bring insights, wisdom, and impact women are creating from different walks of life, from different parts of the world. And you may ask, why do you do this? And why the name Women Investing in Women? Our goal is to break the barriers that women face and the conflict and barriers women erect for each other because of the competitive nature for women professionally and personally, because research shows that anytime there is intrasexual competition, progress is stalled because people in the same gender are competing against each other instead of cooperating and lifting each other up. So our goal is to create an environment where women see the power of collaborating to go further for longer instead of going alone and trying to accomplish something quick and hitting roadblocks. And it is with great delight that you are going to be meeting our amazing guest today. And Robin, take it away.
Absolutely. I am so thrilled to have Georgia Day as our guest today. She, again, is a person that I met through the wonderful organization Leadership Global. And Georgia has a very unique offering to the world. She is a LinkedIn specialist, helping mid-level career people kind of clean up their LinkedIn profiles, make them more powerful and more effective and more true to who they are and what they bring to the world. And she especially focuses on helping women present themselves. So to Cass's point, that in the business world, there can be a lot of competition as opposed to collaboration with women. I should say there's a stereotype. There's a stereotype. And the purpose of this podcast is to shine a light on how that stereotype is false or is at least becoming false. And so, Georgia, take it away and tell us how you came into this very unique kind of niche offering to people, and then the other amazing things that you have done to help women.
Oh, thank you. And Cass and Robin, I'm delighted to be with you today. I have a rather unusual past. Back at the time I started my career, little did I know as a naive 20-something-year-old that I was going to be entering a complete and total man's world. I had for many years, my boss was a retired Army colonel. And I think that gives you an idea right there of the structure that I worked under. The blessing there is that I was taught skills I'm not certain I could have gotten any other way. I was taught structure. I was taught strategic planning. I was taught how to get results for things. And that is a blessing even today as I see what's going on in the world we live in today. With that said, women had almost no opportunities back then. If you were not a nurse or you taught school or you were a secretary, you were fairly segregated into specific pockets, or you were at that time also a full-time homemaker. So as I journeyed through the years and progressed over time and got into supervision and management, I hit the same roadblocks I had had initially, with men saying, patting the little head, oh, we'll tell you what to do and when to do it and how to do it. So with that as a background, I had to learn to develop strategies to work around that. So at the time I finished that career, my husband thought I'd lost my mind. We had retired from that endeavor. We'd sold our home in Dallas, and we hit the road in an RV full-time with an Irish Wolfhound puppy. Little did I know we'd be on the road 10 years. So I had developed my consultancy, which I've now had for 24 years. So being married to an engineer is wonderful in many ways, not the least of which was back at that time, communication was difficult. Give you a brief example. When we'd stop at an RV resort or facility to spend the night, we had to carry our computer into the office and pay $5 for 5 minutes of uploading and downloading email. So at that time, when I started my consultancy, I was dealing with telephone and email, and that was in cameras, and that was about it. So vector forward to my decision to write a book. I had co-authored several books for career advancement for medical services professionals, and I thought, I didn't have a particularly sterling college career, but I knew that I loved to write. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take all the experience I've had and develop it in a way to help women. I just was determined. There were things I had learned that hopefully I could share to help them along the way.
That is such a challenging and yet a timeline chronicle journey. And what's fascinating is the Gen Zs and the millennials are not going to grasp at what you're talking about because that is not at all the world they grew up in, right? So the question that's coming up for me is we have 4 to 5 generations, actually technically 4 to 5 generations in the workplace today, right? There are still baby boomers in there. There is Gen X's, millennials, Gen Zs, and the Warren Buffetts of this world who are part of the greatest generation. So we have all of them in the workplace, everybody looking at employment opportunities and careers and life itself through different lenses. When you are coaching and mentoring women on LinkedIn and career paths and how to navigate technology, what differences are you seeing in the different generations of women? And what are you able to learn from the different generations? Because every time we help, we learn, right?
Absolutely. The majority of my clients are female and 40 plus. Occasionally, I have a younger client. So my questions to them are different because when I look at what's going on in the world during the time they were growing up, it is so very different from the other generations. So that I learn as well as I teach. I listen to what they have to say about whatever it happens to be, world events, their education, how they enter the workplace, the kind of work they want to do. And they are so blessed. There are so many different kinds of opportunities out there for them. I had a conversation with a young man here several weeks ago who is in marketing, and I'd say he's mid-20s. Not the clientele I normally have, but I wanted to help this young man. And here, as you say, Katz, he did not have the background to help him assimilate. So part of what I did in my conversation with him, and I looked at his LinkedIn profile and we went through some of the areas, I tried to look at and target the areas I felt he would be weakest in if he were getting hired for a job or even interviewing for a job with an older employer. So in other words, and if he were not going to be working for someone in their 30s or maybe even early 40s, if he happened to be working for someone older than that, what were some of the strategies he could use to be effective in the workplace?
Wow, I am really loving what I'm hearing and how you're able to take kind of like this raw data or this diamond in the rough, so to speak, of human beings and be able to kind of sculpt that in a way that reflects who they truly are and enables them to interact more effectively with other, like you say, an older person or someone different than who they are. I'm interested to know, in working with women, what has been the range of age of women that you have worked with? And what have been some of the different challenges or resistances that different ages of women offer in trying to do the work that you do? maybe I should say, what are some of the commonalities across ages, and then the differences that you've found in working with different women?
Occasionally, I'll work with women in their 30s. Typically, my clients are 40 years of age and up. Some of the commonalities is the struggle to be effective at home and at work. This is not a new thing, but it presents a very different challenge today because of the element of communication. A boss can call you, he can text you, he can email you all hours of the day and night, so that there's not the separation anymore at home that there used to be. Now, if I've learned this lesson myself, and so I will share it. When you start a new position, the first thing you do is start to, where you can, educate your boss and try to set up some parameters of time and space for you as an employee. If you don't do that at the beginning, frankly, it isn't going to change until you get another position with someone else. With the women 40 and up, typically they have children who are in high school, perhaps college, some out on their own. They're looking at their lives, looking at this next chapter and saying, okay, I know where I've been. I really don't have any idea where I want to go or how I want to get there. Do I want to continue working? And if so, do I want to continue doing what I'm doing now, or do I want to change? I've had some clients who have even deliberately taken positions that are lower than the ones they've had so that they could have more time at home and more time for travel and things they wanted to do. There are others who are ready for that next promotion. And so my interaction with them is somewhat different because I'll be looking at their profiles, accentuating all of the results, the wonderful positive results they've had through the work that they've done, and looking at that through the lens of someone looking at a profile, taking 2 seconds, and if there isn't anything there they're interested in, they move on. So there is a sense of urgency about what they do and when and how they do it so that they are marketable.
That is amazing, the gamut of scenarios you are helping them navigate. And as you're talking, a couple of things come up for me. I come from a world of international finance and multinational corporations. That means morning in one place is afternoon or night in another place. And so those kind of environments, people know that everybody is working during their work hours, but I will work during my work hours, right? With flex times and time zone differences, making sure that the work hours are communicated to all parties we're working with, that is critical. And having rules of engagement, we'll get back to you within the 24 hours, those kind of agreements. I agree, those are parameters we have to set up, because with flex times, women might be taking care of family in the morning and working afternoon to evening, right? So it all depends. How are you coaching them to have these conversations with their bosses, their colleagues, and sometimes even their clients? Because what if you have clients who are in another time zone? I'm just curious.
Here again, it depends on the individual and where they are. But I work to listen very effectively to what they're telling me. And then I help them develop strategies based on their information. And I throw things out for them, just some thoughts. And it's a back and forth. That might work, this might not work. And then before the conversation is finished, they have determined for themselves strategies and techniques that they want to try that they think will make their life easier, more productive, and they can excel wherever they are. So it depends on the person and the individual issue as to how I handle it. A female 55 is probably not going to approach the issue the same way as a 40-year-old. Here again, looking at the difference in generations as to ideas and thoughts that might be most beneficial to them in dealing with their work environment.
Beautiful. I'm going to steer the conversation back to your book, Female and Fabulous. And I want to know what are some of the core things you talk about in the book, and what were some of the challenges that you ran into, either internal challenges or external challenges, in being able to bring this book to fruition? I think that the title is what immediately grabbed me, and so I'd love to know a little bit more about it.
Okay. A bit of background. When I was in the public sector, there were many times where obviously men were hired for positions. Occasionally, very occasionally, a higher position would open up for a female. And more than once, I found myself in a position of being rejected. And there were a number of reasons for that. Either I wasn't the right person for the job, or there were political factors at play, etc. But I knew then that I had to find a way to help women avoid that kind of crash, if you will, that I had. So after I had already worked on several books with another consultant, I thought, okay, this has to be my next step. I have to find a way to get the message out to women 40 and up, because when I turned 40, my first question was, what have I done with my life? And it was wonderful in many ways, but I had not finished my college education. So my wonderful husband took on more responsibility with our daughters, and I went working full time. I went back to school 4 nights a week for 4 years to finish my degree. So with that said, that is what really catapulted me to think about 40 as the defining parameter. And I thought, okay, it's time for me to get out there and see what I can do to help women progress. So the book is a simple, quick 92-page read, chock full of experience from yours truly. So I obviously looked at wisdom from the past. What have you learned? And the next step can be a little tougher, embracing the life ahead for you, discovering your passion, dreaming of what could be, and beginning to sketch the new you. Most importantly of all, surrounding yourself with other believers. So all of these things with strategies wrapped up in a simple, quick read, I'm hoping helps women to recognize their beauty, their power, their compassion, all of the wonderful attributes they bring to the table.
Thank you. It actually sounds very interesting. And I am curious to see what is some of the feedback you're getting from women in terms of how they're able to use this book to shape their journey. And if you were to update it to be relevant to the millennial and Gen Z women as they come of age, what are one or two things you would present a little differently from their perspective and where we are continuing to evolve towards?
I'll take your last part first. It's very interesting because I'm working with another consultant on a book on clutter clearing. And one of the things as part of the research for that is to update all of my information on the various generations. So when I look at, for example, a Gen Z, I have to look at things from the perspective, first of all, of technology, because it's an integral part of their lives 24/7. So what they do, the way they do it, how they research, how they find information, how they learn, how they apply things is going to be, in some cases, very different. They have advantages of all kinds of learning materials that are free, don't have to pay. One of the things I do encourage all women to do, and I think you will both understand this, if they are not at least a member of one professional organization, either related to their specific area of expertise or outside that area where they can contribute, where they can learn and grow, I think that is one of the most critical things for them to do. It exposes them to communication of a variety of ages of women, different thought patterns, so that, for example, a Gen Z is going to look at a situation one way. Obviously, someone 60 plus will look at it in a different way. So learning to adapt and apply what they have learned in their thought process is critical. And one of the ways they do that is to become exposed to other women in all over the world. Oh, this is just so exciting that this can be done this way now. So to learn and grow and encourage them to do that and
That's a
take on issues of responsibility.
Yeah. I love that. I love that notion of surrounding yourself with other quality people, people that you can learn from, either just life in general or specific to your career, and people who will motivate you and inspire you to be better, and vice versa. Then you have something to offer as well. I'm just really, really loving this. As we say with every single guest, this time absolutely flies by. So please, please let us know how we can get a hold of you and also how we can get a hold of your book. And you have any final golden nugget or two that you can share with the women who will listen to this when it's released?
Oh, thank you, Robin. My LinkedIn address is linkedin.com/in/Georgia R. Day. Now, what I can do for anyone who would be interested to have a conversation, I'm going to give you a Calendly link so that they can set up a 30-minute free chat with me. It's calendly.com/ and I'm going to pronounce this and then spell it Kamama. That's KAMAMA-LLC. And for books, Amazon.com/author/Georgia Day. And for a last thought, never, ever give up. When it seems that the mountains are too high, you have several options. You can look to others for conversation, for helping you work through things. You can look to your faith, whatever your options are. Just know that you are a wonderful individual. You were put on this earth for a reason, for a purpose, and let your light shine.
That is fantastic by way of a message for every woman to take into the world as she steps in today. So thank you so much, Georgia. It has been an absolute delight. Love the nuggets of wisdom you have shared. Love the fact that our audience can go and get their hands on the book. And you've given them a lot of food for thought and a resource to carry with them. So appreciate everything you do and look forward to welcoming you into the Women Investing in Women community. And to our audience out there, you heard what Georgia just said. Don't ever give up. You're not alone. Through this community and in your own community you're building, the sisterhood you're building, you have support. Anytime you feel like you're at that point, you need a pick-me-up, just reach out. Because we as women, we know the struggles we go through, and we know the power of our sisterhood, and we know the power of women investing in each other in terms of time and resources and support and camaraderie. And that is what's going to help us thrive. Because keep in mind, it is only together we go further for longer, and it is only together we continually thrive.